Today we will be reviewing the Biocopy workflow. Now what I've done in this particular case is I've downloaded my case from DS Core as a DXD file to open directly into inLab. The same workflow, the same steps would apply if I did it directly in my CEREC software as well too. But for today's demonstration, we are going to look at the inLab CAD software. So when I have my case here, so I have the administration screen. My restorations are noted as, of course, veneers in this particular case. And from here, I'm selecting copy. And the reason I'm doing copy is I'm copying a biocopy. And in this case, it was a wax up that the office received from a laboratory that was in a 3D printed model format. So once you have selected your manufacturing site and your material, you can move forward to the model phase. Of course, scan is grayed out because this was done on PrimeScan. So in this particular case, we have the upper jaw that has the 4 veneers in question. We have the lower jaw, of course, and then we have our biocopy. Now, on the PrimeScan, if you scan and then get a green check mark, it means that it has automatically stitched to know that the biocopy and the upper jaw are the same scans. But I am showing you here for the sake of the demonstration. In case it doesn't, you are able to do manual registration. So you're essentially needing at least a minimum of 3 data points that are similar from kind of one arch to the other. And then basically I'm just double clicking with my left cursor, bringing that over to the adjacent arch here. And it has to be, as close obviously as possible to get a really accurate representation here of showcasing to the software essentially that the intraoral scan is in fact the same arch as this 3D printed model. So I just hit OK here when the message pops up. And I've basically noted that I've manually correlated this. So you kind of want to see that marbling effect on the posteriors to basically showcase that it has stitched, together. And you should see kind of like a seamless integration there. Now, the rest of the steps here kind of remain the same in terms of, your usual crown workflow. So we set our model axis, paying attention to obviously our midline and our occlusal plane. So, these steps remain unchanged, whether it's on the CEREC side of things or on the inLab side of things. You're always taking care of kind of this step. So at this point in time, once you're happy with the set model axis, we move on to set jawline, where we're essentially going to do a couple things. One, we're going to identify that all the indications of the teeth are noted on the proper teeth across the arch. And then with the little blue dots, I kind of move them. Typically, I do end of the arch, kind of corners of the mouth. So like kind of the canine region, midline, obviously, and then about, kind of the premolar, first molar sort of region, right? So this is kind of identifying to the system where the teeth are. So then here, really quickly, I'm just going to draw my margin. I find with veneer, sometimes I'll do manual margins instead of the auto margins. It just depends on the prep sometimes. In this particular case, I use the manual function, but of course you can quickly get kind of the initial proposal with auto and then refine with manual as well too. So again, these steps remain the same, whether you're doing CEREC or inLab. Both are the same in terms of how you mark the margin. Double click to start, single clicks to tag down that line with your left cursor, double click to finish. Now, in terms of insertion axis, so of course we're going to do this step here for the 4 teeth. Now, where a biocopy is a slightly different workflow is when we have our edit copy line as the final step in the model phase of inLab and on CEREC as well too. It would be the exact same. So with edit copy line, this is where we're telling the software exactly what parts of the biocopy do we want it to copy. And I say exactly what parts because it is very, very good at copying exactly what you have within the margin kind of, outline. So really, if there was a certain part of the wax up that you didn't want it to copy, just be sure that you do not, have that as part of your copy line. So I'm just editing the initial kind of margin that it gave so that it copies just what I need it to in terms of the biocopy. Now, one thing I always note whenever you're doing a biocopy, whether it's a molar, a veneer, a crown, whatever, in kind of the contact space or the embrasure space, just be really careful. You don't want to go, you don't want to be intersecting them on your restorations from like one to the adjacent tooth, just because that can sometimes do kind of funny things for the proposal, I find, because again, it's copying exactly what you have. So you really want to be, pretty precise here in terms of, giving the software exactly where you want it to copy, because it really does a fantastic job of copying exactly kind of what you want in terms of like texture and space and things like that. So, so that's kind of how you do the biocopy line. Again, just reiterating, you want to make sure that just what you absolutely want copied for in this case, veneers, that's within the actual copy line. From here, it's the exact same workflow that you're familiar with from a regular veneer or crown case in inLab and CEREC. So you're going into edit element and you're able to get your proposal and obviously make any adjustments that you need. But what you'll see here is that it really does a great job of doing my biocopy. So if I actually turn on the copy upper, you're going to see really just how seamlessly the two of them, did kind of copy each other and mimic each other. So it's a really, really nice proposal that you get from Biocopy. And I find it's a really great way if you've, gotten beautiful, mock-ups done by the laboratory, or maybe you've done them yourself in your prime print. Many ways to do that in inLab as well too. I have another video on how to do a wax up, but it's a really, really nice workflow. And so you can really see from the perspective of this case that when I turn on the copy here, you can see it's done a beautiful job to really just, again, you kind of see that speckling to really showcase that it's mimicked it very, very nicely. So I would only have to do kind of small tweaks here. So you get really nice proposals right out of the gate. Thank you so much. Like and subscribe.